Solo artists have released so many fantastic, unique, interesting albums, ranging from Joe Satriani to Steve Vai, John Petrucci. What about Devin Townsend? Devin Townsend is a solo artist that has had a lot of success in his career, even from ranging from strapping young lad to being a solo artist himself on this group Devin Townsend project. He's done a lot. He released his latest album Empath earlier in March this year, and that's the album I'm going to focus on today. Empath is one that is a wild journey. It took me about 3 listens basically to really gather my thoughts. I'm still having trouble trying to gather my thoughts about this album. Well, let's break down the basics. There's 10 tracks, it's 74 minutes long. And it's one that really, there's a lot that happens in this. We'll talk about it, I'll discuss about it, I'll get right into the details. We begin with Castaway, which is like just over 2-minute intro. I like how the ambient sounds of the ocean, the guitar kind of come into play, and then like the choirish singing kind of vibe, like a choiry vibe going on. And then it leads into Genesis, which is a 6-minute cut. And I like how the song kind of starts off bright with Devin Townsend's very strong vocals kind of start. It's kind of like a orchestra being kind of played out. You kind of hear that. It kind of sounds like you actually have a full-on orchestra happening. And then the chorus itself is a very powerful, we want to say like a blast-off kind of for the album. So it's already off to a very strong start. I like how Genesis kind of is a very bright but heavy tune. It's like, if you want to call it this, it's like symphonic progressive metal. It's really weird. You're going to notice this element a lot through the album as I talk about it. The next track is called Spiritual Collide. This is a 4-minute cut, and I like how this track brings a lot of positivity with the lyrics itself. It's a simpler track, yet it's a nice tempo with a good heaviness to it. It grooves a little bit. You know, it all fits right. The pace is absolutely perfect. The lyrics are very strong and positive. I like the message behind this song. The music video is cool too. You know, it's like Devin Townsend rallying everyone together. You know, and it's just really an awesome song. Really cool. I like how he was able to do this. The next song is Evermore. Evermore is a heavy hitter right here. It starts off just with a nice tempo as well, but it gets into an actual choir actually sung during the chorus of this song. I think it was Electric the Choir or something like that that sung in this song. I really liked how Devin Townsend's creativity is already showing how he can just do whatever he wants and it sounds absolutely fantastic. This is also going to be a noticeable theme through the album. We get through a couple more of the same part. The middle part of it is a nice synth kind of breakdown a little bit. There's like a lot of synth kind of going on as well. It seems like, I know they're using obviously a keyboard, but the setting seems like it's synth. So I like how it's really being played out with this. It's really cool. And then the chorus happens one more time, and then in the last minute, Devin Townsend kind of unleashes a little bit with a different personality. It's like some abrupt turn or something. I've already noticed this a couple times where there's been like a little abrupt turns to like more really heavy parts where Devin's like growling actually, instead of having very strong, bright vocals. The next song we get into is Sprite. Sprite is a very quirky song. It's like you're kind of up in a village up above the clouds. It's really strange, but that or you're just kind of in a village on a sunny day, kind of just strolling around. It's very unique. I like how the song kind of fits. It's just kind of like a normal day, like a nice bright day. Devin Townsend makes it feel like you're kind of just floating. It feels effortless with how this works. Devin Townsend's already thrown so much at you, and we're only halfway through the album, and there's just so much more to go. You're kind of wondering how it's going to finish off with the second half. Is it going to kind of turn the tide a little bit? Will we see more a heavier aspect of this album? Well, we get to that in Hear Me. Hear Me is a very, very intense track, which kind of turns your world upside down. You're kind of now in like a galactic space, but it feels like the sounds of it is like you're in a galactic space battle. I know it's a little strange, but the way in which the presentation of the synth and just the drumming, the way it all sounds, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about when you hear this track. But when he's singing the lyrics, all the world is bleeding, all the reasons why all the world is bleeding, or their hearts wide open, something like that, it's just very intense. The intensity is there. Devin Townsend said, oh, well, I'm not going to keep things the same. Do you think I'm going to do that? Devin Townsend just absolutely unleashed on this track. The breakdown's very intense. There's growling moments on here. I like how this track has no mercy. There's no remorse. Very, very intense. And then the second, the middle third of the track is just a grand slam and a breakdown. It's very intense. It's just very cool how it is constructed. The last minute of the track, I forgot to mention too, the end of Sprite has that little transition for the last like 45 seconds, which is kind of like things just kind of go black, and you're kind of wondering what happens. And now I was gonna mention that here, it's kind of like Hear Me just kind of turns things around really fast. I did forget to mention that, I apologize, but I like how that transition leads into the song. And then I like how the song Why kind of is like, brings you back out of it abruptly. It's also a very quirky track. I'm still kind of trying to get used to this song, but it's like time had passed a little bit or something, and all of a sudden it's back to kind of what Sprite was, like a joyous little sunny day. And I'm a bit mind boggled right now about how the album's been playing out the last couple of songs. There are definitely some quirky moments with this song. I don't mind it too much. I like how Devin Townsend just kind of makes it orchestral again. This one really feels orchestral, and it's very interesting with how it goes. It's just like bright keys and stuff, and the choir vocals again. Even at one point does a quick growl, kind of like just splits, kind of like just splitting the personality a little bit. Very interesting stuff. Borderlands is the next song. It's 11 minutes long, and Borderlands is quite an interesting track. It's like another bit of time passed or something, and Rooster starts off the song with nice little acoustic playing. And I'm not making this up when I say this. The beginning part of the song with the acoustic stuff, and the ambient electric guitar, it kind of sounds like I was playing the game Glover. Glover's a Nintendo game from '98 that I barely could even get past the first level of, but it just I don't know, for some reason it just imagined me playing that game or something like that. It fit right in, and I was absolutely kind of blown away with that. How the album glides, the transition at like the 1.5 minute mark is cool. I like the transition there. Leads to the chorus, which is a strong, nicely paced part. Then the middle portion of the track, you're kind of drifting. It's just really cool how you drift in the middle section of the song, and then you're kind of back into the chorus. Then the last couple of minutes kind of just phase into Requiem. It's just, you're kind of just out in the ocean. There's no worries. You're out by the ocean. There's just no worries at all in the world. Requiem is a great transition into the last track. I like how it's just kind of like the moment of like before the final boss. Do you want to save your game? I don't know. If you don't save your game, you're gonna go back to the last checkpoint. I don't know. I don't know. I'm saying stuff at this point, but I'm telling you, I'm at a loss for words already. I was. I'm just thinking, man, I don't know how I'm gonna talk about this. But the last track, Singularity, this is 23.5 minutes long. I didn't want to mention it because I didn't want to spoil it. This is a long song. It starts off with, there's 6 parts to it. The first one's a drift, and I like how a drift kind of slowly builds up. It's kind of like you're back at the beginning of the album. Singularity, and I'll mention it after talking about the track to sum up the track overall. A drift is like you're kind of returned to the beginning. You're just kind of fast forwarding through everything because you just want to get to the one part you're wanting to get to, and then you're to IMI, which is still picks up intensity. And then I like how Devin Townsend is just saying, all right, let's pick things up a little bit right here, and then kind of fade off just a little bit before we get into There Be Monsters. There Be Monsters starts to get very intense. I like the part around the 11-minute mark where he just kind of is just jamming it out on the guitar. It's a very it almost felt like we were kind of getting a little bit of Dream Theater, not I would say Dream Theater, but it's just like a nice jam there in the middle of the part. I like how very intense this part gets, and then after that part, it's just, it would kind of, the tempo kind of, it doesn't get faster, it gets slightly slower. It's just how it just kind of, I don't know, everything just kind of spreads out, and then, I don't know what to say, I'm at a loss for words, as I said, but this part is intense. We get into the next part, Curious Gods, which has a very unique section in this part. There's a little bit of spoken word in the middle of it, and also there's an element of, oh boy, it was kind of like, at one point, it's kind of like you kind of were daydreaming a little bit. You kind of have and then, I don't know, on the 15-minute mark, it's just, you start hearing just some noises. The creativity is immaculate in this part. I actually liked it a lot. And then, there's kind of like a little part that's like jazz influenced. Hell, that was just, oh man. That was cool. That was very, very cool. Then you get the Silicone Scientist. It's just a nice transition to the last section, which is Here Comes the Sun. I like how each section really dedicates itself to what it actually is. The intensity, the pace. What are we going to kind of do with this? What's kind of going to be the little thing behind it? Here Comes the Sun's a very well brought close to an end of this mammoth track. Singularity is a great closing, and it's like the album itself. It's just kind of like everything just kind of fast forwarded together. And I like how Townsend really finished this off with such a grand slam. Empath really hold on a second, I forgot to grab the scorecard, but if we're really being honest, this is an album that really showcased a lot of unique talent. I'm not gonna lie though, this album is not without its, like, we're little quirky moments where just kind of like, you're like, hey, I don't know if I can get into it that much. It's not bad. I'm still trying to kind of get used to that part. But Empath really showcased why Townsend's creativity is so immensely great. There are very few people who can touch that realm of creativity that sounds absolutely amazing, even if there's just so much in an album you're thinking, well, how in the world do you make it cohesive? How do you make it flow better? Flow all the way. Well, Devin Townsend did it. He's a very smart musician. He's one of the smartest musicians in the music world today. Given the fact that how immensely talented this album really showcased itself to be, how great Devin Townsend is, this album, well, and I'm really, I'm very solidified. I like to solidify this decision with giving it the score. This is a 95 out of 100. It's a 95 out of 100. It's near perfect. So far, it's pretty much album of the year. Empath. Can Empath be beaten? We'll find out before the end of the year, obviously. Coming up in my album review schedule, I have Volbeat. Try to get Volbeat. I don't know if I can guarantee it. After Volbeat will be Slipknot, most likely, because I'm wanting to review that album, but stay tuned for that album review, though, especially because I want to mention it now. I will have a special guest for that album review, but Devin Townsend's Empath gets a 95 out of 100, nearly a perfect release. I like how Devin Townsend's creativity shined. It just brought together a masterpiece of many different ideas. Townsend, great work, man. Hope if you haven't listened to this album yet, definitely give it a listen. I'll catch you guys later in the next review. Stay tuned.